when witches are about, it can be evil and sinister things afoot. But when witches are abroad, it can be absolutely hilarious. And that's what I'm talking about today. Witches Abroad, Book 12 of Terry Pratchett's Discworld, and another brilliant Terry Pratchett book. And this one's high up in my favourites list. I love the witches, I love the Granny Weatherwax stuff. And Witches Abroad is Terry Pratchett at his finest. The jokes, the spoofs, the satire, it's all in here. As the witches get a taste of fairy godmothering, and young lady, has just got to not marry the prince. Surely a servant girl not marrying a prince is pretty easy job to accomplish. As the ladies take abroad, and old witches is passing, so her time's over, and didn't quite sort out things the way she wanted for her goddaughter, because she's a fairy godmother. So she sends Magrat, Garlick the wand, and with specific instructions to not let Granny at Weatherwax come along, keep her out of it. So naturally, Granny has got to go, despite the fact that Granny is a master of headology. The old witch is, the name's escaping, Desiderata, I think it was, yeah, I think that's right, is an even greater master of headology. So off they pack. Granny, Nanny, of course, and Magrat. And poor Magrat is a bit of a wet head, and we all thought she'd marry Varance after the last book, but no, she hasn't. She's gone out and discovering herself with Tai Chi and finding out who she is with all these New Age things that aren't really New Age, you know what I mean? These ancient wisdoms that get sold as New Age. She's sort of hit that trend. In modern times she'd be an influencer or something like that, but Magrat, a failed one because it's Magrat, but yeah, so she's been given the wand. The three of them have set off, and of course Grebo's gonna tag along. And this one's a real spoof on that all the fairy tale magic's in here. We've got the Princess and the Frog, we've got Cinderella happening, the Goldilocks and the Three Bears get a workout, the dwarfs, every old fable, old thing. There's so many of them referenced in here. I even think there's a Hobbit reference with Gollum and as they're floating down a river. I swear it's a Hobbit reference. It's, yeah, absolutely brilliant thing. So they're off to Genua and the swamps of Genua, and foreign parts. Who don't like foreign parts. They're set in their ways. Old women, as old people can be set in their ways. Lived in the Ramtops all their thing, and yeah, so they're going to foreign parts and they're not keen on it. But Magrat's got the wand, the fairy godmother and wand, but the only thing she can do with it is basically produce pumpkins, which is a typical Terry Pratchett. Give a gift, but it's not going to be the gift you want, or you're not going to be able to use the gift. And yeah, so they're off, and there's again a lot of jokes in this. They gambling, and we just Nanny philosophizes on the workings of Granny and her ego, and no one's got an ego the size of Granny Weatherwax. So yeah, it's I don't know how many times I've said it, well, 12 to this point, is about Terry Pratchett books. They are so brilliant, and as I work through the books, I'm going to say it a lot more. Trust me, that the satire and the jokes. So once we discover Nanny has a sister too, so this is a bit of a spoiler. Not Nanny, Granny. Granny has a sister, and they use mirror magic in here. So watching what's going on in the mirror, and we find out what other witches are like and things like that. And there's sort of that Genua is this New Orleans style with the gumbo and crawdads and the eating the crocodiles and all the gators over there, and in the swamps and that, and there's a house on legs. I don't know if you can see that picture, which is, I don't think that I've made that blurry, but yeah. And it's all about the story. This one, it's all about the story, and yeah. So the other fairy godmother, because there's multiple fairy godmothers, and they both naturally believe they're the good one, because it wouldn't be a story if everyone didn't think that they were the good person, and so. Yeah, it's all about stories and a narrative, and that's the theme of this book. It's like the stories we tell ourselves, the stories, that we believe, and Terry Pratchett's a master of these. I'm so uncomfortable, hard to get comfortable, and sorry, fidgeting around while I'm trying to do this, but we tell ourselves these stories that what's real, what's make believe, and who we are, and how we see the world through these lenses of these stories, and everyone in their own story believes that they're the hero. You'll just look at world politics now, and certain orange nutbag that, honestly, if you read him out, he could be in a Terry Pratchett for how bizarre he is as a muppet of a character. And believe me, he thinks he's the hero of his own story. Trust me, he thinks he's saving the world, and that's sort of the case. I can't imagine there's too many people that genuinely think they're evil, or they're the bad one. There's always some motivation behind them that compels them to be this good person, that makes them believe that they're the good person, that their narrative is right, not that compels them to be a good person. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that aren't compelled to be good people, but somewhere in their twisted minds, they would be right, and that's what the story's about. That these stories that we tell ourselves, and in a magical, farcical way, and of manipulating the things and creatures to create these stories that we want to believe, and these fairy tales that we want to believe. Grebo the cat has some awesome sound. I don't know if I really should tell you, but he gets some magic treatment that is a showstopper in this book. It's a real scene stealer. There's some awesome twist of magic and twisted tales, and just watching all the Easter eggs of the fairy tales and that make their way in, and the fables make their way in, is genuine delight to think, what's that one they're doing now, what's this one, and absolutely brilliant book, and it's all about the headology and the storytelling, and which I genuinely love about Terry Pratchett. He's such a master of that kind of witty, heavy themed, like heavy laden messages, if you understand how to pick things up without drumming it down on you. Like, I've read books that are trying to tell you something and they're massively preachy about it, or and it's really off-putting, but he's so subtle, and he's got you're laughing and wanting to find out what happens, because they're all mystery novels. Discworld books, they're all mystery novels, so you always want to know what the mystery and what the angle is. But then they're that quirky, goofy. Oh, and Casananda. How did I almost forgot Casananda. He's a bit of a recurring character in the Discworld after this book. This is the first book he pops into, and he's the world's second greatest lover. He's a dwarf, which means he just has to try a little bit harder. That's the type of thing. There's all these brilliant characters, and of course the poor servant girl that has to marry this prince. They have a lot of fun with that sort of narrative, and Terry has a lot of fun with that narrative, and trying to do the right thing by it, and poking fun at these old fables and messing them around, and yeah, such brilliant. And I can't believe I almost forgot Casanova. He's such a cool character. He comes back in a couple other stories too, which is just something Terry does really well in this, 41 books in the Discworld, and yeah, some people pop up every now and then, and it just makes you smile thinking about how goofy and quirky they are, and happy to have them back. I love Granny Weatherwax. She'd have to be one of my. She's not the number one most favourite character of all time. She'd have to be top 3. And Nanny's a perfect foil, and watching them have a little bit of a dig and a jibe at each other, and then Magrat and that, and yeah, it's all in here, all the thing, and no one, despite the fact that she's a master of headology, no one has an ego like Granny Weatherwax. And there's also the theme of what it requires to be good and evil, and the things that constrain us, like contain us to be, if we didn't just go do what we wanted and we acted on our intrusive thoughts, there's a lot of that in there too. Absolutely brilliant book. Witches Abroad, book 12 of Terry Pratchett's Discworld. Brilliant. I've said it 100 times. Love these books so much. Happy reading, subscribe and follow for more.